Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our June 3rd Angels Camp City Council meeting. Roll call.
Mayor Shemente.
Present.
Vice Mayor Sherrato.
Present.
Councilmember Moncada.
Present.
Councilmember Berlio and Behill are absent and staff is present.
Would you please rise and join me in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reporting out of closed session, no action was taken, direction was given to staff. And so we are now moving on to item 6. Casey.
Good evening.
Hit the button. There you go.
All right, good evening. I'm Casey Vaccarez. I'm one of the owners of Calaveras. We're just here to go over kind of what we did in 2024 here in Angels Camp and to go over our rate increase. And this item on the menu here, this presentation I'm giving is just due to Cal Waste, not anything that has to do with the IWM, which is also on the consent calendar later. So two completely different things. So. Okay. So for 2025, this is a basic service that we have here in Angels Camp. It's a subscription-based service. The basic service is the 35-gallon trash cart, and you receive a 95-gallon blue recycle cart along with a 65-gallon green cart. You can also pick different sizes of trash carts, and you still get the other 2 carts as well. Angels Camp, so tonnage in Angels Camp stayed fairly flat from the year before. And then as far as franchise fees and recycle reimbursement funds, recycling reimbursement funds are, we reimburse the City of Angels Camp 90%, the 90% of the value of the materials that recycle materials that we process at our facility in Galt, and that came out to $68,370. Along with the franchise fee, which we pay to the city, which was $7,735. So in total, $76,106 was given back to the City of Angels Camp in 2024. So pretty big number for the size of the city and the amount of customers we have. How our rate increase works is we just go off a sewer, water, trash, and that came out to 4.98% this year for our customers. Our customer count in the City of Angels Camp for residential customers is about 1,200 customers, or 1,190 and change. And of those customers, 10% of those customers, they applied for and use a discount, a senior discount that is going through PG&E. So it's a pretty big number, 10% taking advantage of that. I'm sure there's more, and we always try to really push that discount out there when we're signing new customers up. All in all, that discount is about a 12% discount on the rate. As you can see, this is the rate sheet going into 2025. The standard size of 35 gallons just going up $1.38 a month, the 65 going up $2.97, and then the larger cart going up $5. As you can see, these rates are structured as the more you throw away, the more you put in that black cart, the more that you put in the landfill, the more you pay. We really try to get people to divert those materials into the recycle cart and the green waste cart. So, all in all, continue to have the relationship with the City of Angels, and we have this nice, cool new mobile app that reminds you what cart to put out, what day. You can take pictures of stuff and it'll tell you if it's recyclable or not. It's actually it's a really good app. You can even schedule services through it. Everybody in Angels who is a customer of ours, you get 1 free handy hauler per year, and you can schedule that handy hauler, which is the 3.5 yard container that we go drop off at your house. So if you have a big party, you're cleaning out the garage, you're doing a project outside, and you're one of our customers, or you get one for free. But we also offer them to anybody, so they're pretty low priced, and they're easy to drop off at someone's house and get hauled away a couple of days later. So, yeah. that's all I have.
So Casey, the handy haulers, it doesn't have to do with whether or not you own a house. If you are a renter and you have garbage service pickup, then you can avail yourself of the handy hauler?
Yeah, we tie it to the household or to the address.
Okay.
For one, throughout the year you get one. So we tie it to there, and we work it with people if they're renters or they're not. We figure out how to make sure that everybody gets theirs.
I was talking with Mary Beth at the fair. Mary Beth, my wife was her first grade teacher at Valley Springs. And, years ago, I worry a little bit about people not having the ability to throw away a refrigerator or whatever. Is there any chance that we could do some kind of trash bash again? I don't need an answer tonight, but I think the handy hauler is great, but you can't put a refrigerator on a handy hauler.
Yeah, no, you definitely can't. But I think we could figure something out. A lot of this is, our customer base, but we'd
Right.
be willing to partner with the City of Angels to figure something out.
Right.
The best way to do it, I know the trash bash was you put everything out in the street and, we'd come pick it up. Well, that was really nice and easy. It also kind of creates some other things of people going through stuff the night
Sure.
before,
Yeah.
kind of really making a mess. We do that actually in the neighborhood I live in, and I despise it. But we can figure something else out where maybe it's a couple of drop-off stations for a weekend.
Sure.
You show your ID, you live in the City of Angels. There's a lot of options out there that we'd really like to entertain with you guys.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Casey.
For sure.
I had a question.
Yeah.
And so on all the rates are going up for the handy haulers and all the way up
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, overall, what we do is, so it's going to be the commercial will have an increase as well. So all services have that increase by the city.
And when I was reading through that, I saw that on the handy hauler, and is this new? It's like, and you get it for a week, and then every day after that's $11 and something cents. That you
Yeah.
have it. Is that a new thing, or is that something that's always?
No, so when we put the agreement together, we put the free handy hauler service in there, and it was for the 7-day period, I believe.
Okay, and then
And then if you needed it more, you could have more. Yeah, or if you wanted to have a second one for the year, there's a rate for that.
Okay, thank you.
Casey, how many folks in town of your take advantage of the free handy hauler?
That was a number that came to me that I should have brought here tonight
That's okay.
because it's actually, there's a lot of residents that just don't use it.
I would think so.
And we really promote it a lot. I'm sure you guys have seen that truck driving up and down the
Right.
street here. It goes everywhere every
We get
day.
to leave
Well,
in the
he's
morning.
he's right
Yeah,
here.
we do have that.
I hear another clinic.
Our extra little equipment yard right there. So there's a lot of people that don't use it in a lot of the franchise areas that we service, and we really try to promote it through our app, through social media. Even when they're calling on the phone, they need an extra cart. We mention, hey, you have this handy hauler. Don't forget to use it for the year. So.
Thank you, Casey.
Yeah.
Thank you for the app information. More
Yeah.
times than I would like to admit, am I relying on my neighbors as to what to pick up
No.
or what to drop?
I use it and
I feel better.
Thanks, Casey.
Thank you.
And thanks for being open to the trash bash idea. Appreciate it.
it'd be great.
All right. Moving on to the approval of the agenda as posted or amended. Pam?
Mr. Mayor, staff would like to pull out item 9B and 9C off the docket.
Okay. Any comments from the public regarding this item? Any comments online, Rose?
No.
So we need a motion to approve the change to our agenda.
I'll make the motion.
There's been a motion.
I'll second.
There's been a second.
Sharada,
Aye.
Shemente,
Aye.
Moncada. Thank you.
Just as a point of order, because there's just three of us, all three of us have to agree tonight in order to move something forward. So I just want you to know that. We are very agreeable anyway, but it just so that you understand the process tonight. Okay, we're moving on to item 9A, approved draft minutes of May 20th, 2025.
We need public comment
Public
first.
comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped it. I should
Yes.
cross that off. Public comment. Public may address the council on any item of public interest, not otherwise on the agenda that is within the jurisdiction of the city. No action may be taken. Matters to be addressed may be referred to city staff or placed on a subsequent meeting agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes per person. Those of you who want to present something to the council, please step up to the podium, state your name, and share with us your ideas. Okay, then.
I'm Kathy Russell. I'm the Vice President of the Angels Camp Business Association, and
And I'm Emily Louise. I'm this year's Angels Camp Farmers Market Manager. Representing ACFA. I'm here sidekicking.
so you go first and talk about your stuff, and then I'll
All right. Well, I just wanted to introduce myself to the board and to the city council and to our community. We are having this year at our local museum once again. I'm really excited. We have some great highlights, some demonstrations from local artisans. We have some live music is back in action. We have some great vendors. We are also searching for more vendors. Wonderful sponsors have already stepped forward, but we're also still open to that. I'm really excited for this challenge and for this new venture into our community.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we're very happy to have Emily join us. One thing I wanted to clarify is that on the music, because we don't get any funding from anybody and we depend on our membership fees and donations from sponsors, we are only going to do music this year if there's someone that wants to sponsor music that week. For our first one, we do have somebody that is sponsoring the music. And Emily's been really good at trying to find musicians that want to play for free and just have a tip. Last year we had music, but musicians they need to make money too, and their prices keep going up, and we just can't afford to pay for music every week. And we're scaling back the bars. We are going to have a bar, but it'll be much more condensed than it's been in the past. So I have a packet for everybody, and I'll give these to Rose, and she can distribute them to you. But I wanted to let you know who our sponsors are. So our diamond sponsors are Highway 49 Mini Storage, Mark Twain Medical Center, Dignity Health, and Innovative Roofing, which they never sponsored before, so it was really nice to hear from them. Our gold sponsor is Angel Sewer and Drain. Silver sponsors Aspen Street Architects, Cal Waste Recovery Systems, Middleton's Furniture and Appliance, and Hallmark Gift Shop, and My Bar. And it's not my bar, but it's my bar. Bronze sponsors Campora Propane, Edward Jones, Tim Oskey, and Sarah Oskey. Evans Pass Gas, Pickle Porch Cafe, Pinnacle Physical Therapy, Sierra Mortgage Solutions, and Tanco Well Drilling. Friends of the market are Louise Simpson, and, no, not you, Louise
Superintendent.
Four Paws Veterinary Group, and Turner's Wild West, and Pinnell's Carpet One. And then the only entertainment sponsor we have at this point is Danielson Construction and Management Services is sponsoring the Private Reserve Band on the first opening night. We have in-kind sponsors. Cal Waste Delivery Systems has always been great in giving us trash and recycle containers. St. Patrick's Church for allowing us to use the parking lot, and the City of Angels, the Angels Camp Museum, and the Calaveras Visitors Bureau are our site hosts. So I also wanted to let you guys know, and I hope as many people as possible can attend, but we're having some grand openings. So Four Paws Pet Group is having their grand opening on June 18th, and then JJ's Mercantile and Consignment, along with Lexi Lane Lashes, is having theirs on June 26th. And then Shorty's Barbershop downtown is having hers on July 2nd, so we hope you can all attend that. And then we really hope you can all come to our next mixer. It'll be out at Prospect 772. They are members of our organization, and that will be a mixer on Wednesday, July 23rd. There'll be some small bites and some of their young wines, and so we're excited about some things coming up.
Also, I wanted to add, because I got a little nervous and I just kind of rushed through it. So our market is going from June 13th through September 26th this year. It's from 4:30 to 7:30 each Friday evening. We also have 4 special events to look out for. Our opening night is our 20th anniversary year, so let's really celebrate 20 years. We also have our July 4th kickoff. I mean, what good luck is that, July 4th on our Friday. We also have August 8th, which is our back to school night, and September 26th, which is our end of the season. Yeah, thank you.
What were the hours of the market?
4:30 to 7:30.
Yeah, the museum's agreed on Fridays to close a little earlier so we can, because our vendors, we want to give them as much time as possible to sell their stuff, because that's why they're there.
Yeah, and our museum offered to showcase the gold panning for 4 nights as well. Not necessarily our special nights, but throughout, and we'll be posting more on that.
And if someone will say something about the music, so if someone is interested in sponsoring, get in touch with them.
Please reach out to me. Yeah, Angels Camp Farmers Market at gmail.com.
And Isabel does play the ukulele, so.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online for public comment?
Do you have the ribbon cuttings and stuff too in here? Okay.
Yeah.
No, nobody's online. Sorry.
No, it's okay. All right, thank you. Now, consent items. Item A is the only one left on that consent item agenda. It's approval of draft minutes of May 20th, 2025.
So moved.
We aren't quick to jump in.
I know.
We're not the quick ones.
No, it's okay. Any discussion from those present? Any comments on the draft minutes? Anyone online? Hearing none? Let's call for the vote.
Sharada. Aye. Shemente.
Aye.
Moncada.
Hi.
Thank you.
Moving on to our action items. 10A, receive and accept auditor presentation and report regarding City of Angels financial statements ending June 30th, 2024 from our independent auditors.
Yes.
Should have seen you 10 years ago. Well, good evening, City Council. My name is Anthony Gonzalez. I am a CPA with Price Page & Company. I'm also an audit manager there, and I serve as the in-charge auditor for the City of Angels for fiscal year 2024. And tonight I am here to present to you the results of the audit. So without further ado, we'll get right into it. Tonight, my agenda, I'll be as efficient as possible, but perfect. So I'm going to talk a little bit about who we are and what we do at Press Page & Company. I'll talk about the type of audit that we perform, what that looks like. I'll cover some of the areas of emphasis that we focused our audit efforts on, and then finish up with, of course, the auditor's reports and what we call required communications. If you guys have questions, I know I put questions at the end, but if at any time you guys have questions, feel free to interrupt me. Okay, so Price Page & Company, we were founded in 1976. We're located in Clovis, California, so the Central Valley, about 2 hours south. We're a top 5 firm in the Fresno County and surrounding areas. We have a deep specialization in serving governments, and we think that that's helped us as well as helped our clients in terms of not spending a ton of time on the audit. I think Michelle could attest to that. Right now we have over 80 audits of various municipalities, special districts, counties, and nonprofit organizations. We're at about 60 employees. Okay. Next slide here. This year's engagement management team consisted of Fausto Hinojosa. He was the engagement partner signing the report, as well as myself. I was the engagement manager. We had 2 additional staff members, and combined we have over 50 years of experience providing audit services. I've got 10 of those. Okay, so scope of the audit. We were engaged by the city to perform a risk-based audit of the city's financial statements. We do this in accordance with applicable standards. So there's 2 different sets of standards. We have those set forth by the AICPA. Those are called generally accepted auditing standards. Those are what apply to nonprofits, for-profits, But since the city is obviously a municipality, we also perform our audit in accordance with government audit standards. So it's another layer of complexity that focuses on compliance and fraud, waste, abuse, those types of things. So again, this is a risk-based audit, and so that last point here I want to focus on. It's a risk-based audit designed to provide reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. So that's a mouthful, but essentially, risk-based, it's not a 100% test of transactions. We're not looking at every single transaction that Michelle processes, even though it may feel like it. And it's designed to provide reasonable assurance, so not absolute assurance, okay? Some people think that, we have an audit, so everything's down to the penny. That's not necessarily true. The standards recognize that there's a cost-benefit analysis of getting an audit done efficiently. And the last piece here is free from material misstatements. So it's not that these financial statements are 100% error-free, but it is that they are free from a material misstatement. So something that would change the user of the financial statements decision-making process. The example I like to give is if I told you I had $1 million in the bank, you'd probably loan me $100. But if I actually had, overdraft, you'd think twice about it. That would be a material misstatement. Okay, so that's the scope of the audit. Previously, I think we've performed compliance audits over the city's federal expenditures. This year, that requirement did not exist because you did not meet the threshold, so there was no single audit. Okay. You can go to the next slide here. Okay, now I'm going to touch on the audit process, and I'll be very quick here. The audit process essentially has 3 different phases. We have a planning phase, a fieldwork phase, and a conclusion phase. We start the audit process by assessing the risks of error and fraud. In order to do that, we have to obtain an understanding of the city's fiscal operations. So, what's new this year versus last year? Is it complex? Is it simple? It may indicate less risk. So we gain that understanding, and then we also walk through the city's internal controls. And so the reason that we're doing that is for 2 purposes. We want to determine if the controls are designed appropriately and if they were actually placed into operation. So if they were designed perfectly but not used, doesn't really help. Vice versa is also true. So we gain this understanding to then develop our audit procedures to address those risks of misstatement. So the city goes out, invests in crypto, and it's very complex. There's not a lot of guidance. That would be higher risk. We would focus our audit efforts there. So that's the planning phase. Then we actually perform those procedures, obtaining audit evidence. And then once we've obtained enough evidence, then we can report and provide our opinion on those financial statements. So that's kind of the audit process in a nutshell. Hopefully I didn't draw that out too much. Okay, so the next slide here. These are some of the areas that we focused our efforts. This is not all-inclusive by any means, but this is kind of big picture where we focused our efforts. So the city's cash and investments were looked at. The cash is always going to be of interest to auditors. It's fungible. Almost everything runs through cash, so definitely took a look at that. We tested the city's revenues and receivables, including expenses. This includes your salaries and payments to employees. Took a look at purchases of capital assets, so vehicle purchases, leases, as well as the last 2 items here, net pension liability and post-employment benefit liability. I'm sure you guys are familiar with those, but just as a refresher, the net pension, that's what's expected to be paid to employees, retired employees, and then post-employment benefit liabilities is everything else, but that's generally healthcare costs. So big focus, our audit efforts were focused on these areas. Okay. Next slide here, auditors report on financial statements. So this is the deliverable from our audit. And I'm pleased to report that the City of Angels for 2024 did receive what's called an unmodified opinion. This is known as a clean opinion. And this tells users that the financial statements are free from material misstatement and that the audit was performed in accordance with applicable standards. It also tells users that the financial statements, the significant accounting policies have been consistently applied. The estimates included are reasonable, and the disclosures are properly reflected in the financial statement. So if you look at the financial statements themselves, there's maybe 12 pages or so, but then you have another 40 to 50 pages of those footnotes. The opinion covers the entire package. Okay. Go to the next slide here. The next report that was issued as part of our audit is actually not an opinion, but it's called the Government Audit Standards Report. The purpose of this report is to disclose the results of our testing over internal control. So these standards don't require that we test the city's controls, but as part of obtaining an understanding of them, if we notice a deficiency in controls, this is where we report that, okay, if it's significant enough. We did identify one, what we call a material weakness in the city's internal control as it relates to reconciling beginning fund balance and net position to the prior year audited financial statements. If you would like to read the detail for that, it is included on page 3 of the gas report. This report also talks about any compliance or other matters, compliance deficiencies, non-compliance or other matters, and I'm pleased to report that there were none. Finishing up here with the required communication. So this is also provided in the packet to council. It's called an audit communication letter, but it summarizes basically the important high-level facets of the audit. To go over just the important pieces here, the significant accounting policies used by the city were not changed in 2024. The significant estimates included in preparing these financial statements include the allowance for doubtful accounts, the net pension liability, post-employment benefit obligations, and then management's estimate over depreciation or useful lives of fixed assets. The most sensitive disclosures found in the city's financial statements include the deficit fund balance in note 13. And the last slide here, we did not run into any significant difficulties in performing our audit. The significant audit adjustments have been attached to that report. It is called the Corrected Material Audit Adjustments Report. We did not have any disagreements with management, and we are not aware of any fraud and illegal acts. So with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'm more than happy to take any questions the council may have.
So, Michelle, I did ask you about the beginning balance. Will our new software kind of alleviate that, or what are we going to do as you move the dollars from previous year to the next year?
Oh, yeah, well, that's going to be a fun task for our audit this year. We've already talked about that because we've changed our whole chart of accounts, and so we have to provide them with a crosswalk. But no, that was just a procedure in-house where the closing entries that they had given us were there were some errors in posting those. And that final trial balance wasn't run until we gave it to them. And a lot of that was just due to, I had a staff member go out on a medical leave and just time restraints, trying to meet all the deadlines with all of the things that were occurring at that time. And so that was just an oversight. So we're gonna make sure always going forward that we're checking those before we send those to the auditor, the opening balances.
I think the scariest is the unfunded liability with pensions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we always have to be mindful of and watch.
Correct. And coming up in a few months, we were speaking with PARS, who we have an investment trust account with. And they have some ideas for us on how to start working towards and putting together a retirement, like a policy for unfunded liability, and then actually put together a savings or something where you can make a contribution every year and start eating away at that unfunded liability. So, yeah, so we'll bring that to council and look at adding that as a policy, because I think it would be good to have some sort of plan in place.
Caroline, do you have any questions or
No,
comments?
and thank you for the clarity on the 600,000.
No, just thank you for your examples. I think that breaking it down into simpler terms helps to understand it all.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you, Michelle, and your staff for all the work that you do.
Thank
And
you.
for anyone at home who wants to read the full stuff.
Yeah.
Don't do it before bed.
I did.
Or do it to go to bed.
It was helpful.
And I'd like to thank Anthony. He wanted to be here last year, and I know it was kind of odd we presented electronically. He had just had a baby.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
And so he couldn't be here in person, but this year he said he was going to make sure he was here to meet you and present in person, and meant a lot to him. So we're thankful that you made the trip up here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions regarding the audit? Anyone online, Rose?
No.
All right. So we need to I make a motion to accept the audit as presented.
Who's second? Sharada?
We got that.
sorry.
Are there any more comments? Are there any comments from the audience? Council? If not, roll call.
Sharada?
Aye.
Shemente?
Aye.
Moncada?
Aye.
Thank you.
So we're moving on to items.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
Have a good night, drive safe.
Yeah. Item 10B, select a representative to the California Transportation Commission's August 14th, 15, 2025 meeting in San Diego for the Boundary Lane decertification. Amy.
Mayor and council members, in English, decertification basically means access off of Highway 4, which we have been pursuing for 28 to 25 years for Boundary Lane. And we finally made it to the California Transportation Commission hearing to take that step, August 14th to 15th. And we think it's so important that we have a physical presence there, as well as we can participate online. And we are asking that we at least send our city, probably engineer, maybe a member of the city council would be good, to San Diego for that hearing. And I'd be happy to answer any questions and see who eagerly volunteers to go to San Diego.
I talked with Alvin, and Alvin eagerly volunteered.
Yeah,
And Alvin's not here tonight. No, Alvin did say he would attend, and you know, either Alvin or Isabel, who've sat on the council and are familiar with Boundary Lane.
I am unable to on those dates, so
Okay.
I'll happily let Alvin know if he says yes.
Yeah, he did.
No, he's truly wanting to do it.
Yes, he is.
Okay. I didn't know if you were just
No, I wasn't joking. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Unless, you know, Caroline, would you?
I was just looking at my calendar to see if I'm even available at that time. But if I am, I would be happy to go down there as well. Yeah, it looks good. So if he doesn't want to go, that's
Okay.
no.
So Alvin first and then
Caroline,
Case is
or-
Caroline?
Or both, huh?
And we probably want our city engineer.
And our city engineer.
I don't think we need to send two of us.
So 2, including city engineer and Alvin with backup, Carolyn.
That needs 4 minutes. So I make a motion to send Alvin and Caroline as our alternate. Oh, yeah. Before, okay. Public comment.
Thank you. As Amy indicated, it's 25 years. I think I was always on the city council at the time when Highway 4 went into place and Boundary Lane got blocked off. So I'm pleased to see that this is at this point. It's been a long time, a lot of money. And God bless Fred Katz.
Yeah.
It's been a driving force. I've appeared before the CTC 3 times, and it's critical to have our elected leadership there. It's critical to have your city administration, engineer, city planner. It's critical to come in force. And I would also recommend that you reach out to your state legislative people to make sure they're aware of this issue so they can speak on behalf of this issue behind the scenes. And any letters of support that you can get from adjoining landowners would be very helpful as well. So all of this works. That's how we, good, bad, or ugly, the Highway 4 wagon trail came to fruition because the funding was going out the door. And we were able to go in full force and show why it was critical. So that's.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other public comment? Not online? Yeah. I make a motion to select Alvin as our representative along with our city engineer. And Amy, if you want to attend also, because you've had a lot of history with our project. And Caroline as our alternate to the California Transportation Commission meeting on August 14th and 15th.
I will second that.
Any other public comment? Any council comment? Hearing none, roll call.
Sharada. Aye. Shemente.
Aye.
Moncada.
Aye.
Thank you.
Adopt item 10C, adopt resolution 25-28 approving change order 8 for Utica Park Lightner Mine expansion, reallocating $21,372.66 towards reworking Pacific Gas and Electric lighting on site from the $55,000 line item for a second Mark Twain statue. Amy.
Mayor and council member, not nearly as nice as going to San Diego. This is not asking for more money. This is basically, we talked to the state of California because we needed to redo some lighting at the park and asked them if we could skip a second Mark Twain statue and instead enhance in a sign at the Mark Twain statue a little bit more about his history. And they said that's perfectly fine with them, which allowed us to free up $21,000 to make sure we had appropriate lighting that needed fixed in the park, and then would free up approximately $30,000 to use towards other items. So be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
So does that mean that we have an additional $30,000 that we can set aside for future projects then because of the Mark Twain statue?
We're going to wait until we get our final reconciliation
Okay.
from the final bill, because there were some things where we had talked to you before about maybe saving some money
Right.
in what we had asked you for by freeing up money elsewhere. So we're going to check on that. If any money is left, we do still have the park horse to pay for and the interpretive signs to meet our requirements under the grant. Don't worry, we will find a way to spend it.
I'm like, okay, of course we will. Any public comment? Anyone online, Rose? Any council comments?
So I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2528, approving change order 8 for Utica Park Lightning Mine extension.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any other comment from the public? Any other comments from council members? Hearing none. Rose?
Sharada. Aye. Shemente.
Aye.
Moncada. Aye. Thank you.
Moving on to item 10D, approve resolution number 25-31, authorizing the water and wastewater rate increase for fiscal year 25-26. Michelle.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So tonight I'm going to present our water, wastewater, and Utica pass-through rates, our anticipated changes for June 21st would be the date they would take effect for next fiscal year. So recently we had our water rate study that was passed on February 4th at a public hearing. We're almost ending the end of the 120 days on, I think it's June 4th, so in just a few days. And as you know, the recommended rate increases in that study was for 3% for water and 2% for wastewater, and the Utica rate would be at 6.22%. We had agreed that every year we would look at the budget and then take the proposed rate changes, because those, if you recall, are the ceiling. So that's the most that we can charge in a year. So what I did was I looked at our projected budget for fiscal year 25-26, looked at our 5-year CIP plan to make sure not only are we going to spend some of those reserves, but we will need future income to cover all of our CIP programs for water and wastewater. And then also look at our updated revenue and expense forecasts for next year, and then also going out for the 5 years. What I did is I brought up the rate study and looked at, they clearly listed each year what they projected in for revenues for the city and what our expenses would be. So in comparing our budgeted expenses versus our what the rate study had projected, they had just done a set, I believe it was 5% each year increase. It was just a general off of our current expenses. We are not going to be spending as much as they had projected we would. What I'm proposing, looking at what we also are putting into the budget for our capital improvement projects for next year, I'm proposing that we have a 2% water rate increase, a 1% wastewater rate increase, and 3% Utica pass-through. And that will still keep, which we heard a lot at the public hearing, please don't surprise us and wait till the end of 5 years and not raise the rates and then hit us all at once. It keeps it even, but we don't need to do the maximum to cover all of our costs. And this is going to be looked at each year compared to what we're facing. But and then with the Utica pass-through, it's about half. One thing I heard from the council, so that's why I'm recommending this, is that we have about $570,000 in reserves for the Utica. It was the recommendation to keep 1 year of expense on hand, which would be around $407,000 for this current year of reserves. But I know the council had wanted to try to cut that in about half. So this rate at 3%, over the 5 years, looking at the analysis, if we increased it slowly 3% each year, it would use up about $158,000 of the reserve. And so it would still leave us, a little right around under $400,000. So that was why I thought we could ease that in and then still give some savings back to the customers. Let's see. And I don't know, is there any questions? I took into account economic and affordability for our customers, looking at, rates are increasing everywhere right now, looking at cost of construction. One of the pieces which we're bringing to you tonight is a proposal. We went out and did an RFQ for engineering, and so we'll have a new wastewater engineer, but we'll still be using the current one to close out projects and shift over to another. So of course, over this next year, I expect them to review our CIP, and they may take us in a different direction, or we may need to update some of those costs due to just the impact of increased building materials, construction. And then looking at the current CPI rate for San Francisco for our area, for I think it was April of 25, the increase was 1.3, so it was not significantly high.
I think there's some unknown factors, and I know Caroline can speak to it better than I can. Right now, with Utica, we're looking at the FERC exemption, and if that goes through, the money that they're now allocating, that Utica's allocating for the study, would go away.
Well, and also what we're squirreling away
Right.
to pay for the FERC relicensing will go away. So
Right.
that's the nice piece.
Right, and then we would not have to increase it each year, that contribution.
I thought when we started this rate study, I thought that the council had agreed to maintain a $250,000 reserve in the Utica reserve. And what we're ending up with is more of a reserve than that amount. And I want to do what's prudent, and we do need to get to that $500,000 number. And I appreciate the work that you've done, because we noticed we're not everything is going up, and there's an item on the agenda for those folks that are going to have difficulty paying. And we can do this on an annual basis, correct?
We will.
So next year this time, knowing where Utica is, we could actually spend down that reserve
We can spend
and lower that cost.
Right.
Okay.
I think this is great. We made a promise to our residents that we weren't going to raise the rates to the max if we didn't need to. And so this is proving that that's exactly where we're falling right now. And I think it's great that we don't need to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Great.
Any public comment? Anyone online? I appreciate your work, Michelle.
Thank you.
And I think you took to heart what we were talking about during the rate study. Let's see where we are. And I also want to have a conversation with Chris O'Flynn, who can't be here tonight. We talked about making sure that our projects, our CIP projects, are queued up, so that as we finish one, we can start another one and not have this long delay And hopefully with, the new engineers on board and with the transition from Dewberry to our new engineers, that we just can continue moving forward with our projects.
And that was one piece we looked at when we did our RFQ for engineering. We called it an on-call contract. So even though we name a city engineer that will oversee the engineering projects, we have other firms, one of them being Dewberry, who we currently have as an on-call basis. So we can look at that and keep things rolling. We won't be stalled by being tied to one engineer. We can work with that. So that's kind of how we met with Dewberry today and kind of want to have them finish up what they have and then get the new firm rolling so we can keep everything moving.
And hopefully, Pam, the direction's gonna be to the new firm that, we've slated, 2 or 3 years from now, we're gonna do the Vallecito project. I'm just pulling that out of the top of my head. I don't wanna wait 2 or 3 years to plan it. I want us to work on it so that, we have shovel-ready projects that we can do, because we do have those dollars there. And, the longer we wait, the more it's gonna cost. So, and I think everyone can agree to that. So, well, thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Any public, did I ask for public?
resolution.
Yeah, I do.
I have it right here, it's just kidding.
Oh, okay.
So there is a resolution, so you just need to designate the water rate increase, the wastewater rate increase, and the Utica water rate increase. What are those numbers?
Okay, so let me go to public comment first. Any public comment regarding the increase? Anyone online?
No.
Okay. Now we'll bring it back to council.
I'm good to go.
Okay, so
Oh, you want me to make the
you make a motion to, water.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve resolution number 2531, authorizing the water and wastewater rate increase for fiscal year 25-26. That we increase 2% to water rates, 1% increase to wastewater rates, and 3% increase to Utica pass-through rate.
And I'll second.
Any other discussion from the public? Anyone online? Council? Hearing none. Rose?
Sharado?
Aye.
Shemente?
Aye.
Moncada?
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to, thank you, Michelle. Moving on to item 10E, adopt resolution 2529, thereby approving the City of Angels list of transportation projects for the Regional Transportation Plan. Amy.
Mayor and council members, the Calaveras Council of Governments is updating the Regional Transportation Plan, and as you know, we are updating our traffic impact mitigation fee. So the purpose of this project is sort of twofold. It's actually threefold. We've never actually had a capital improvement plan where we actually ranked our transportation projects in the order that we actually wanted to have them built, and pared down lists to try to determine what we could actually afford, both short-term and long-term. So we basically sat down with city engineer, public works superintendent, city administrator, police chief, one of our fire captains, city planner, and we ranked, there were approximately 37 projects that were in the general plan, and we came up with our top 9. We also removed 13 traffic signals that had been on the list.
How many?
13.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah. Somewhere Scott is celebrating. But basically, we came up with what we think is a pretty good list. I'm going to go over it briefly. The one thing I did want to mention was we did remove one project that had been on there for quite some time, and that was going from Dogtown to Murphy's Grade Road and widening the entire thing to 4 lanes. Yeah, that is the reaction we get from many people.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
COG had been warning us for several years that that was still on the books, and our recommendation is to from the books. That would cause quite a problem. So what we did come up with as a recommendation, and I have to emphasize that could this change? Yes, this could change. This is going out to public, and based on public input, we may need to do some revisions. Is this going to be the basis of our traffic impact mitigation fee? It's going to be a starting point, but as we develop the fee, will we be able to remove projects, add projects? Yes, we will. So without further ado, we're looking at, we can go ahead and work from the map on this, and I'll read what they are. But basically, we're looking at the Foundry Lane. I'm going to point to the map, so hopefully you can hear me. The Foundry Lane connection, phase 1 and phase 2. And what we're talking about for phase 1 is getting the commercial section done and the actual access off. Oh, you've got a pointer, cool. And going all the way up through here would be phase 2. And then in the future, connecting the Angel Oaks, Greenhorn Creek into that. This is not the actual alignment. We have not revised our map. The map actually goes something more like this now, and then this comes in at a T intersection. But that was our phase 1 and phase 2. The other project is this itty bitty little connection here from the end of Greenhorn Creek down to Finnegan Lane. And what we tried to do when we looked through these projects was tie non-motorized projects and motorized projects. In other words, if we're doing the Angels Creek Trail and we're going after right-of-way that we have to have for the Angels Creek Trail, why would we want to go through that process twice? We'd rather just go through it once for a connecting roadway as well as for the trail. There was also a connection from Blair Mine Road in Greenhorn Creek to Stockton Road. We were looking at that as an evacuation route and making sure that we could have that connection. It's something we'd had way down on the list for a long time, but we never really looked at it closely. And when we started evaluating all the places where we want to be able to get people in and out fairly quickly, that was sort of a cost benefit thing. Short distance, a lot of benefit in helping people get out, and that got added to the list. Stockton Road widening sort of elevated. We've had a lot more people walking from Greenhorn Creek, Angel Oaks direction, going up to the shopping center, vice versa. That's always been a problem. So this appears both in our non-motorized section as well as in our transportation planning section. Tryon Road to Greenstone Mine, 49 connector. This is again more of a safety emergency, and that would be on the, no, that's the right one. Basically, if you were to go out here, believe it or not, there are some back roads you can take and actually come out up near the PG&E substation. And as we say all the time, if something happened to this bridge right here, how would the fire department get to the annex? How would our public works people get into the city without a long, laborious route around? So that got added up fairly high. Murphy's Grade Road and State Route 49 intersection improvements. That was sort of an economic development as well as circulation. When we did our roof screen project, one of the problems we encountered again and again and again was working with Caltrans to assure them that we would be able to get large trucks to be able to make all turning movements at the Murphy's Grade Road 49 intersection. And guess what? You cannot. So we really need to do some improvements there in order to make sure that the trucks can get in and out. Otherwise, that economic development parcels we have further out Murphy's Grade Road are not as helpful as they might have been. We're talking about a Sierra Avenue, Greenhorn Creek to Tuolumne Avenue connector. That is next to Gateway Park. You can walk it right now. It's gravel. At some point, we really are going to need to get that developed, because if you don't, over time, people start seeing it as a trail as opposed to a circulation improvement. And you can't just have one way in and out of Greenhorn Creek or those subdivisions. You need multiple ways to get in and out. And that is something we already have the easements for. The road's physically already there, and we're looking at that. Road A, going back up to the top one, that basically, the idea was to go to the end of Clifton, and no, we don't have precise routes on some of these, was to go around Clifton. Did I do that right? No, I'm not doing that right. There we go. And find a way to get into Gardner without having to go the normal routes. And we'll have to look at that more closely when we look at that Francis roundabout. If that's going to go in, we may be looking at, different ways of trying to incorporate that. So that one's not as fleshed out as some others might be.
I'm sorry, what would be the purpose of that, Clifton to Gardner?
So that alleviated some of the load that was here some of the people who are having to go here and here and use this intersection coming out of Dogtown, you'd be able to get some of the traffic from here to come straight down into Highway 49, because this is actually also planned in the future for commercial development. So it's more of a circulation improvement kind of an idea. And last, you can actually look at page 249 of your agenda. This has actually been on the books and this keeps coming up, but this is the one where it has the return to the historic downtown loop. So we purchased the Napa parcel and the parcel adjacent to it, not based on a whim. There was actually a Main Street plan that said, you need to do this. You need to have this so that Sam's Way, you can come in. If you suddenly decide, wow, I really like those shops, or I saw a restaurant downtown, I'd like to turn around and go back, you could do that. You could turn down Sam's Way, go around where Napa used to be, come back out, and turn. We may have to refine that. We may decide to refine that now that we have the Napa parcel. Maybe it turns out that parking structure ends up taking up Sam's Way, and we have both an in and out and the additional parking in the adjacent parcel. But the concept is there. There's a better road than Sam's Way, and a way for people to come in, turn around, and go back to downtown. There's also a safety reason. For a very long time, not for a very long time, when we did our PSPSs, the one thing that the PG&E folks told us was, hey, this was great. We had the second highest number of people coming to this PSPS site, but that was really lousy trying to get up and down Sam's Way. They said, if you want to use this for Red Cross reasons or as a site during an emergency, you really need better access than Sam's Way. So that was one of those things. We've broken this down into 0 to 10 years, short term, likely to happen, and 11 to 20 years, long term. That's partly for consistency with the regional transportation plan, as well as it's sort of a demarcation that they use in traffic impact mitigation fees as well. Briefly, the motorized transportation plan long range. So those were our top 9. Those are the ones we're going to be hearing about again and again and again. The Greenhorn Creek Southwest Connector, which going back down to the other slide, the idea was that this would, and again, not the exact route, you would be able to go out Greenhorn Creek and connect to Highway 49. That's been on the books for a very long time. The Tryon Southeast Connector, we are not talking about this. We are talking about if we were to annex some of the Tryon parcels, coming here and being able to have a second way in and out of the fairgrounds. We're not looking at that. We're looking at being able to get it as close as we can to, I think, the baseball field. And basically so that you don't have just one way in and one way out. You get some traffic out and up towards Murphy's direction without having it all come in spilling out on Highway 49. Demarest extension, that's an easy one. That is on the top one. That is behind Saymark, if that property gets developed. And Boundary Lane Phase 3 would be connecting that Angel Oaks branch into the main part of Boundary Lane. And then not in order, Kirk Drive extension, Purdy Road extension to Kirk Drive. This is Stealthy Park. This has been on the books for a long time. These are very, very long range ones. Being able to have Purdy Road connect into Kirk Drive. And then the Moxie Road, we call it the Moxie Road connector. It's actually the one that's across from the main entrance to camps, et cetera, at Greenhorn Creek. Doing a reassessment of the Booster Way Bridge. And then there's supposedly some Murphy's Grade Road widening realignment. We left that there. But we did get rid of, as I said, a whole bunch of other projects that had been on the works. The emphasis being on the top 9. I'll put you totally to sleep. But active transportation and recreational trails plan, we are including that. We've actually had non-motorized element in our general plan for a long time, but nobody could find it. So we're trying to bring it up and re-emphasize it. And it includes crosswalks. It includes adding some sidewalks from Mark Twain Elementary that are sort of no-brainers, connecting Bighorn Mobile Home Park to the school, and some of those immediate things where there are some sidewalk gaps. Implementing several of the Angels Camp Main Street Plan intersection improvement projects, which were attached. A walkway along Stockton Road, and the Angels Creek Trail Phases 1 and 2, which are basically getting you from Stealthy Park to Greenhorn Creek. Later ones for 0 to 10 under the recreational non-motorized element, we're talking about the Angels Creek Trail Phases 3 and 4, which take you then from Finnegan down to New Maloney's. There are some others in here. We've also added some parking, transportation projects like turning into a 2-story parking structure near Utica Park. Perhaps adding some additional parking near the existing Slate Circle parking area. Increasing parking lot safety by adding lighting. And for transit, the main things we identified were increasing the availability of dial-a-ride in Angels Camp, because everybody seems that's one of the few things they actually do use without having to wait for buses all the time, especially for seniors disabled without cars. And the North Main Street plan has a stopping shelter transit area up towards Capello and the Habitat for Humanity project. So we put that on there. And what we're asking tonight is to have that, a resolution, sending that to the Calaveras Council of Governments at this point, to show that we actually looked at our regional transportation plan, especially those top 9 projects, and that you have seen them, you've thought about them. They should go ahead and put those out to the public for input, and ultimately likely adopt them as part of their plan to help with getting funding for all of those projects that we consider top priority, as well as giving us input on, hey, no, I think this should be higher, this should be lower, those types of things. An awful lot to hit you with all at once. Sorry, but this is usually how these go. If you ever wanted to do a workshop on this, we could take more time, but in the short term, COG does need something from us fairly soon.
COG is running out of projects.
And especially active transportation ones. And we had a whole bunch of non-motorized, I still call them, projects, but we just never got them on the books. And they have the money and we have the projects, but we need to get them put together.
So Amy, did you and staff prioritize the projects?
Yes.
0 to 10, et cetera,
Yes.
based on?
Emergency access was one of the things. Circulation was the top priority because it is a circulation plan, and economic development. We used those 3 factors. And the ones that had all 3 tended to be higher. The ones that had 1 tended to be lower. The cost benefit ones, the ones that, gee, that's only going to cost a few $1,000s to do that. What a benefit. Those tended to go higher also. We did it the old fashioned way with recipe cards and thumbtacks.
And rank ordered.
And yeah, and moved them around and just physically did it right there while we were watching it. Oh, what do you think of this one? Yeah, put that one down in the corner. And it actually worked fairly well for us, I'd say. And we could debate, there were a few debates, like, gee, that's not really emergency. That's not really circulation.
Do any of those circulation projects tie into a CIP project, or if I don't want to build a new road and tear it up and put, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, is there any thought
Like if
given?
we're digging up for a wastewater line,
Yeah, I mean,
we're gonna be there anyway.
yeah, I mean, how do any of those go hand in hand?
Foundry Lane The top one really, really, really does. Because we
Yeah.
have a lot of water, wastewater, and when Aaron put together the alignment on that, there was a lot of coordination with, this is where we want the water line to go, this is where we want the wastewater line to go. This is the route we want it to take. So that one's huge. We did a lot of integration with trail plans and pedestrians along with roadways that were getting high use. And sort of tying a lot into economic development. So we tried to do multiple use as much as possible. I'm trying to think of others that are as important as, Foundry's the one that really sticks out for that.
Like the Murphy's Grade project, that idea of widening that intersection so bigger trucks can turn. And we also have that wastewater I&I project down Murphy's Grade to do, so.
And we could do some additional refining to turn that in better, or perhaps have those projects go forward at the same time, coordinating when those go forward. So.
I think of that intersection, is that part of that funding used to acquire the property necessary or land necessary to widen that intersection?
So Aaron's not online, is he, by any chance? No.
I don't think so.
He could answer that better for you,
Okay.
as could Chris. But there's sort of an obvious turn. I'm trying to remember if either of you remember, was it the right turn if you needed to head towards San Andreas? It was the real bad one for the trucks to be able to do.
That's a tight turn.
Yeah, and we have
Yeah.
talked with people, we talked with Caltrans about that with roof screen. And it's not so much acquisition always. There are some striping things you can do
Oh,
and
okay,
some adjustments like that.
okay.
I can't guarantee we wouldn't have to take some corner, but there were some
Right,
ways around
shifting,
doing that.
like, would be like shifting all the striping to,
Mhm.
yeah.
Exactly,
Aaron mentioned just that the roadways need to be realigned
yes.
so that it could accommodate it more, so it didn't sound like a very big project, it just needed some engineering done to it.
They needed some more engineering done too.
We put everybody in one room and
Lock the door.
for each road, we locked the door and each one of us took a piece of road and one would say, okay, this would work for economic development, but it won't work for safety because the fire trucks can't come. So there was a lot of holistic debate, so to speak, and that's how we got to the prioritization that we had. We also looked at the social benefit of those projects, meaning to say we've also not looked at just bikers and pedestrians and trucks. We also looked at school children and their safety as they use the roads.
Any other comments from council? Hearing none, any public comments? You have a public comment?
Not now.
Okay.
Amy, was there, I don't remember what we decided on Finnegan and the tie-in to Greenhorn Creek. I thought there was a project associated to that.
Yeah, Angels Creek Trail, and yeah, which is going forward fairly soon to do right-of-way acquisition. So we've basically, the idea is to do that section from Greenhorn Creek to Finnegan first, and then do the separate project that would tie it into 49
Okay,
later.
I just wanted to make sure that was
It's in there.
in there.
And we cross-reference the other projects that might be associated with the bigger projects.
Well, this is great. It's a nice roadmap. It's good for COG to get this. Plus, it's just nice to have a lot of projects that now can be maybe funded. So, lots to
like a
choose
motion.
from. Yeah. Oh, it sounds like a motion. Sure, I'll make that motion to approve resolution number 2530, updating the City of Angels 2529, thereby approving the City of Angels list of transportation projects for the regional transportation plan. I will second.
It's been a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Any other staff discussion? Hearing none? Rose?
Sharada,
Aye.
Shemente,
Aye.
Moncada.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 10F, approve resolution 2530, updating the City of Angels Customer Assistance Program for water and sewer customers, and rescind resolution number 22-68. Michelle. Thank you, Amy.
Yes. Thank you. So, part two of the water rate. we have the customer assistance program, so we wanted to take tonight to not only educate everyone on it, but to also look at our policy. It was written in 22. We put it in place. We were using non-revenue rate. So it was basically coming from late fees. So we would take the late fees and repurpose them to give customers who qualified for PG&E Cares a discount on their water and sewer bill. So for water, it was $20 and $25 for sewer. So one of the pieces we wanted to look at was, I've heard time and time again, especially when we did the rate study, how can we increase this? And it was, once again, where we get stuck is it has to be non-rate revenue. Well, the city in the last couple of years have been investing differently, and we've been bringing in quite a bit of revenue in interest. And so our rate consultant confirmed that we could use interest revenue as qualifying for this program. So one of the pieces we would like to propose tonight is to increase so that in the past we were providing 83 customers who were underwater the discount, and then 66 wastewater customers, and it was not to exceed 40,000. So what we would like to propose is increasing that to just straight 125 customers. We do have some that only have water or sewer, but we just want to make it 125 customers cap, and to raise that funding cap from 40,000 to 67,500. So that's the first part of what I'm bringing to you tonight. The second half is to look at the policy. We had looked at, when we wrote the policy in 22, we looked at similar programs that CCWD offer and other utility districts. And a lot of them would go off of the PG&E Cares program. So it made it simple that if you had PG&E Cares on your bill, you could bring in a bill and prove that and fill out the application for our CAP program. We would then be able to enroll you into our program without having to check income. In a recent assessment of that, we've determined that there are some other factors that are not income driven, and then it defeats the purpose of the program that could qualify you for care. So we need to add into our policy that threshold of 200% of the poverty guidelines. One of the nice pieces that ties in tonight with Cal Waste is we do send a list over to Cal Waste to help Angels Camp residents that if you enroll in our CAP program, we automatically send every couple of months a list over to them, and they enroll you in their discounted program if you're receiving trash services. So it's nice how we partner with that. Basically, by looking at, we're increasing the number of people. We're almost full. We just did a recertification, so every April we send out and we ask everybody to recertify, so we make sure that they're still receiving cares. Unfortunately, this did not get in before we did the recertification, so it'll be for new customers, and then when they recertify in April of 26. But then we're collecting that data, but we were almost full with the current slots that we had, so increasing it to 125, and we project this next year there may be some difficulties depending on how things go with the economy, so it would be nice to have more spots available. And maybe in the future we could look at increasing the dollar amount for individuals, but at least the whole program, by adding those extra spots, we can afford to increase it to 67,500. Any questions?
So, do you have to own the property if you're a renter?
You don't. No, but so you would still, if you're applying for and you're paying, because we have some landlords that include that into the rent.
Yeah.
So then they wouldn't qualify if their tenant was. But if the tenant has already approval through the landlord to be billed directly, then they can apply. We do notify the landlord, and then they can receive this credit on their bill. So it doesn't.
So like Section 8, would that be an automatic for someone to be in the CAP program?
So what we're asking for is proof that you're receiving some type of, so Section 8, correct, to just show proof PG&E cares, any type of, if you're receiving benefits from, say, the resource connection, but then along with that, you need to submit like tax return or pay stubs so that we can prove that you're within those poverty guidelines. So that's the piece
And
we're
that lasts
adding.
a whole year and then you recertify.
We recertify.
And do
people.
you have everyone on the same calendar or is everybody just coming on at different times?
Everybody's on the same calendar for recerting,
Okay,
unless you have in the last couple of months. You enrolled in the program, we don't request those, but we'll send out a bulk letter and ask everybody to recertify.
And I know we've asked previously, people either can access it online or if they come to the office, and they don't have access to a computer, Casey or staff can help fill out the application form. And so we try to make it as easy as possible for those folks who want to take advantage of the program.
Do we show anywhere what that 200, the below 200 of the federal poverty level is?
Yeah.
Just so we can do
We can
publicly.
include a chart as we update and
That would be
put it on
great.
our
That's helpful.
website.
Yeah, because and what does that mean? I mean, I think it's $40,000, correct?
So, yeah.
Yeah, but most people, I don't know.
I don't think
Some
they
people
know.
don't
No, I
Or
don't
they
think
don't
they
think
know.
that they qualify,
Right.
maybe they do, or.
Maybe they do.
Because
Yeah.
that sounds like a huge number, 200% of, yeah.
So we definitely will include that.
Thank you for your work on this.
Yeah, thank
Any other public comment? Anyone online? Rosie? Okay. Looking for a motion?
I will make the motion to approve resolution number 2530.
Do you want a second?
Sure. So I can tell people I was here. Second. Any other discussion from the public? Any other council members? Okay, hearing none. Rose?
Sharada. Aye. Shemente.
Aye.
Moncada.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 10G, award of contract for on-call engineering services and direction to negotiate agreements.
Great. So we went out, we had a 5-year engineering contract with Dewberry that expires on June 30th of this year. So we went out and did a request for qualifications for city engineer. We left it as on-call engineering because we wanted to broaden, the different types of contracts for engineering that we would receive. And we actually had a very successful, we had received 8 proposals. They were all very strong. We had 3 staff members go through and review those and screen, and we interviewed 4 of the 8. And then from that process, we had a ranking scoring sheet based on questions, and we took the summary, and we were actually pretty much all in agreement with our top 2 at least. And so we would like to propose to award the city engineer and water and wastewater engineering contracts to Lumos and Associates, and our head engineer would be Aaron Brusatori. So currently, Aaron is contracted through Dewberry, but he works for Lumos and Associates. So what had occurred over our previous 5-year contract is that Dewberry had lost their city engineer. And so they contracted with a firm, and then we received Aaron. Aaron had worked for Ray Engineering, and he left that firm and moved to Lumos. So we kind of got stuck with a markup from moving him to different companies. And so this is nice because this will then allow us to contract directly with Lumos. And then the new piece would be our water, wastewater. That is currently with Dewberry, and we would like to move that also to Lumos Engineering. It would be a new, wastewater water engineer. Chris had said they were the only firm that requested, of course, Dewberry knows us, but out of the other 6 firms, Lumos actually requested to come and tour our facilities and have a tour around the city, and had done that. And you can definitely see in their proposals and in their interviewing, they had a really good understanding. I think that was one piece that stood out for all of us, and we appreciated them coming to get to know us and look at what our challenges are. So we would like to remain to keep Dewberry as an on-call engineer, because There are several projects that have his Dave Richard engineering stamp, and they're ready to go. And if we were to remove him, we would have to get that all redone. It would be costly, and there's no reason. So it's just going through and looking at those contracts and CIP projects that are currently in the works, and then phasing those out. Most of those projects that are currently in the works will be slated to be finished next fiscal year, so by the end of next fiscal year. There might be a few that we need to extend it. Now, Dewberry's contract does allow for us to extend it 1 to 2 years, so we may just be able to do an extension. Every year, they assign us task orders, and those drive what they're working on. So, of course, we wouldn't renew the task order for the general wastewater and water engineering services or for the transportation services, engineering services, but we would, specific projects that we identified, we would just move forward with those task orders.
So, Michelle, I would assume that Dewberry has priority rights to the work that they've completed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So, so is it our plan to? I mean, I don't know how many projects that Dewberry has been working on, and has started the planning process for. So I'm assuming there's just not going to be a smooth transition. I mean, if we didn't want Dewberry to do this particular project that they've been working on, then we'd have to start all over again. So have you guys thought about some kind of transition then?
So we did meet with Dave Richard today. He set out his list, his CIP list, his regular tasks that he does for regulatory responses and reports. And then he had his actual projects, and there are like 3 to 4 that are ready to go. Like one is in the works, the other are just getting ready. I think we're going to bring one to the next council meeting. That will be a contract with Dewberry or a task order through Dewberry. So those, our plan is to continue on with those. There are 3 projects that are in the works. They're not complete, they're not shovel ready. And that's where now we need to take those projects, meet with Aaron's firm, Lumos, and say, what is your recommendation on this? And then we would have to come back and decide and bring to you how we'd like to proceed on those other projects. We need to evaluate how much work has been done and how much more needs to go. And so that's what we will be doing here in the next few weeks.
And that's probably a typical transition when you go from one engineering firm to the other.
And we do want to keep it as smooth as possible.
Yes.
And Dave is very agreeable. We've been happy with Dave's work, and we don't have any concerns, and he's willing to help us, transition, and he wants to leave us happy. He said
So
today.
more than likely, they're going to oversee the Stanislaus, Mark Twain Elementary
Correct.
water. And what they also going to do the Vallecito sewer?
I believe that was one of, I don't have my list.
Right. I don't want to put you on the spot,
Mhm.
but I mean, because I thought that was kind of next on the list.
Whatever is ready to go. And I know that there's one for Purdy Road. It was something that they had discovered when it was part of the I&I of our capital plan. And when they had done the cameras through the sewer lines, they had discovered this was critical and needed to get done. So it's going to be part of the I&I projects.
Okay.
But he proposed that he would like to keep that project because he's ready to bid, and that's what they're going to bring next council meeting.
And then what about we just extended Dewberry's contract, right, to June.
That we're not interested in continuing on with Dewberry, so we'll need to talk to legal. I think Dewberry,
It's okay.
I think they're okay from what Dave had said, but we need to pursue that. We are not interested in pursuing with Dewberry on the Angels Creek Trail. They finished up the preliminary engineering work, and now it's time to switch it over to whatever needs to get done, we need to switch that over.
So then Michelle and Pam, maybe next council meeting, you can give us a list of projects that you assume or task orders that Dewberry is going to continue with, and then what this new firm is going to take on. Thank you. Any comments from the public? You guys are awfully quiet. You could have been great students in my classroom. Oh, my goodness. Anybody online? Any questions or comments from council? Okay.
We're looking for authorization to begin contract negotiations with Lumos and prepare the on-call agreements with Dewberry. And that will be the list we'll bring to you.
Perfect.
And that contract, I believe, we are planning on bringing back July 1st. It'll start right after that. Because Dewberry's will go through June 30th, but we'll extend it.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. Rose?
Sharada.
Aye.
Shemente.
Aye.
Vonghan.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for your work, and please thank the staff for their work in selecting the process. Okay, moving on to item 11, informational items.
None. Oh, great.
Okay. Moving on to item 12, administration report.
So Mayor and City Council, I've attended the following meetings on May 21st. I attended the Technical Advisory Committee and Training for the Calaveras Council of Governments. May 22nd, 2 meetings. Calaveras County Government's Executive Management Group meeting and the Utica FERC Committee meeting. May 27th, had a meeting with Mike Minkler from CCWD, General Manager Jessica Supp from UPUD, and Councilmember Scott Beal to discuss a possible redundant water source and corresponding grant funding for said potential redundant water source as part of staff's research into the topic. Also on that day, I also attended a Executive Management Group meeting with Calaveras Council of Governments.
I have a question for you. What was that meeting with the CCWD and unions?
It had to do with, they talked about the intertie, and it was pretty much, it was research that I was doing in regards to redundant water sources that I needed to do a staff report on, and pretty much when Ms. Self had put in the meeting request, included there was Mike Mickler and Councilmember Beal.
Was that sent out to all council members for attendance, or was that not a, I didn't know anything about it.
It was.
Okay.
Was Joel part of that?
No,
Was Utica invited?
I don't believe so. The following day, General Manager Joel Metzger and I met. And I did have a discussion with him about our meeting, and I've also talked to him about to continue on with my research about the redundant water source.
Okay, I'm just confused. I'm sorry, that's a confusing meeting to me. Okay.
And
Yes.
May 28th, training session conducted by Employment Risk Management Authority, IRMA, regarding the payment process of claims submitted to IRMA. And then, just to highlight a couple of things, the spirit of community and partnership has been alive and well in Angels Camp, especially in the last days of May and June. May 30th, we have Silver Grad Night, so I had the opportunity to take off my city administrator cap and wear my proud parent cap. School community, the teachers, the parents, the students and volunteers, they all banded together to make grad night and to get together afterwards very memorable. It was very, very good. And a lot of people, a lot of vendors complimented our kids being very well behaved. And it's a testament that how we raise our kids. It's a very good thing. Then May 31st, we had the grand opening and ribbon cutting for Utica. I'd like to thank everyone who made the Utica Park possible and to all the attendees and participants who made the event memorable. Then on June 1st, the planning meeting with CCWD, Utica, and UPUD regarding the upcoming visit from representatives for Senators Padilla and Schiff's offices. It's the scheduled tours for tomorrow, and they're going to tour our shared water facilities. And of course, tomorrow's the actual tour.
Thank you. Anything else?
Oh, I got a couple more noteworthy things to mention.
Okay.
So the city and the Public Works Department received an email from a resident and former assistant utilities director for the city of Folsom, Todd Ising. He offered praise to our Public Works employee, Landon Roberts. And then to quote Mr. Ising, he stated, "Landon did an amazing job. He was professional and confident in answering my questions and left me with confidence in the water system and the work they were doing. You have a great employee and should be proud. I wish him well when he takes his D2 soon." So to Landon, Public Works Superintendent Crystal Flynn, and our Public Works crew, many thanks and keep up the good work and the customer service. And then of course, kudos also go to City Planner Amy Augustine and the staff for Utica Park. I've been receiving a lot of compliments from smiling folks who are happy that our community park is back to its beautiful state. And it's a testament and a promise to our residents and visitors of more and even greater things to come for Angels Camp. And that is it.
Thank you. Council reports.
I don't have anything to report other than I will be attending, for LAFCO, we have a special meeting tomorrow for an RFP for our executive director who's retiring, or hoping to retire. He's been hoping to retire for a year now, but anyhow.
4:30 meeting?
Yep.
Yes. Ms. Carolyn?
I want to make sure. I attended the UWPA meeting last Tuesday, but it was Joel's birthday, so it was a very short meeting. We did his evaluation. That was pretty much it. I attended graduation. I had my last graduate on Friday, and grad night, and then the park opening. And then tomorrow I will be at helping with the Utica tour with Senator Padilla and Senator Schiff's offices.
Thank you. I think a shout out and congratulations to our graduating 8th graders from Mark Twain who graduated tonight, and our seniors from Bret Hart who graduated last Friday night. Milestones in their career, and we wish them all the best. Tomorrow Morgan has invited me to a tour Habitat and what they're doing out there, so I'm excited to see all of that. And I think for the public, Pam, that it wasn't the reaction to your report out of that meeting wasn't a reaction to you. It was just, it was different than the direction that we had given. We assumed that all of our water partners would meet together and discuss. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, sorry if that came off that way. That wasn't my intention.
It has, and we look forward and we appreciate everything that ACPA and DAC and all the folks are doing to celebrate our new businesses. And I just wanted to thank you folks for that and look forward to those grand openings. And with that, it's been fairly quiet. I mean, it just felt like since fair, it's been quiet.
I don't know if I'm with.
Well, some of us has been quiet.
Police chief's looking at you cross-eyed.
How was it?
You don't say that.
I can't say quiet?
No, not when I'm in the room.
The other thing that we did receive from Caltrans, and we have a letter of some upcoming projects at Caltrans, and we have 2 or 3 projects at Angels Camp that are in the queue to get started on. And one of them is crosswalks, and I'm glad that's kind of come to Caltrans' attention to do something with our crosswalks. So with that, any correspondence, Rose?
No.
Calendar.
So I've got June up before you. I do not show up here, but the TAC meeting on the 18th has been canceled. I will be adding in all the ribbon cutting that was dropped off tonight, so you'll start seeing those put up on the calendar. And then for October, I just got an email today, the League of Cities registration for the conference is open, so if any of you want to attend, let me know so I can book your rooms.
And it just as a reminder, we have a budget study session on the 12th.
Correct. We're having a special meeting at 2 o'clock.
Do you have the dates for League of Cities?
The League is, yes, October 8th through the 10th.
I think I'm gonna try to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Rose, I will not be at the next meeting.
Okay. Will you be there for the budget meeting then?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a special meeting for Utica Water and Power Authority on June 10th.
June 10th?
I can't remember what time, but you'll see the invite.
Okay.
I think it's at 5.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 16, future agenda items.
Is Caltrans coming to do a presentation this month? 17th, okay, great.
And I know that I've been talking with Amy and Chris about posting no parking, and I think Chris said on the corner of Gardner and Murphy's Grave, so that people who are pulling up to that intersection can then see. So, and I think that is going to be coming shortly. And I also, this is not an agenda item, and I should have said it during the council report. Thank you to Amy and staff, Public Works, and everyone involved for the grand opening of the park. And, just as a suggestion, because I was asked by a few people after the ceremony ended, you didn't mention my name and thanking me, and there's a big sign that Amy had posted. Is it worth something in the Enterprise, taking a quarter page or a half page and just thanking folks? And we talk a lot about communication, and it may go a long way if they could see their name in print.
And also I think social media, just doing a big post on some, like a nice graphic of all the participants, donors.
And maybe a press release about the park. I know that Tori, when she talked with us at the state of the city.
Was the Enterprise there at the event? Was any newspaper there? I didn't see any press, but I thought, well, maybe I just missed them, so. Okay.
So, any future?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Any other
That's
future?
all? No.
Okay. So, any other future agenda items from the public? Anyone here or online? Hearing none? Watch this, Sam. Is there a motion to adjourn?
No public comment?
No public comment. They don't want to go into roll.
Sherrato?
Aye.
Shemente?
Aye.
Moncada? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for attending.